Who's better, DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis?
I believe people are going to laugh at me and ridicule me for saying this, and I believe I will ultimately be proven once again right about this. This is the classic case of an Anthony Davis who is being overrated because he's such a good guy, and a DeMarcus Cousins who is now being underrated because for years people have mistakenly dismissed him as such a quote-unquote bad guy. I am here to tell you.
They didn't lie, Skip, now.
Huh?
Let's
No,
be real.
no.
They didn't lie now.
They exaggerated, and they did not take into consideration the circumstances under which he was forced to play. But I'm here to tell you that DeMarcus Cousins is a better all-around basketball player than Anthony Davis. And let me explain, because you're about to see that clearly now that they play with each other. And night after night, you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, he can do that. He can't really do that. That's what's about to happen. I will admit to you, maybe I should disqualify or qualify myself. I have long been a DeMarcus Cousins fan back to his days at Kentucky. And I said before his draft, he should go number one over John Wall. A lot of people then said, you're out of your mind. And I think I was in my mind at that point, because if you redrafted that draft, I believe he would go one. I don't know, maybe John Wall would go second. And then you got Evan Turner and Derek Favors and Wesley Johnson. Maybe they'd go. I don't know what the order would be. But again, DeMarcus Cousins should have gone one in that draft. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. You always take the big guy.
Okay. So I realize that DeMarcus Cousins has been a psychological nightmare occasionally of a roller coaster ride for the Sacramento Kings. But I remind you, he had to play for 6 coaches in 7 seasons in Sacramento. And I remind you, that has become, and it always really was, a joke of a franchise with a goofy, delusional owner and a GM. We heard from Vlade yesterday about, oh, I had a deal 2 days ago. A better deal. Yeah, right. And the only reason Vlade has been able to keep his job is because of that goofy, delusional owner in Sacramento. So you have to keep DeMarcus in the context of where he was forced to play under what circumstances. But here are the 3 biggest reasons that I like DeMarcus Cousins over Anthony Davis. Number one, he is a much better passer. In fact, I think DeMarcus Cousins is a gifted passer on the Tim Duncan level of gifted big man passer. He's averaging 5 assists now. That's more than Derrick Rose is averaging right now for the Knicks. And I believe if DeMarcus Cousins put his mind to it with the right, like if he had LeBron's arsenal of sharpshooters and snipers, I think he could average 10 assists a night, because he's got that kind of vision for a big man. I'm not saying he's as good as LeBron as a passer, but as big man passers go, he's up in the highest echelon. Number 2, he has turned himself into a really good three-point shooter, 36%. He'll make you 2 of 5 every game. He's going to attempt 5 a game. As you well know, that can be a matchup nightmare issue for anybody who's trying to cover him, because he can really take advantage of you in the low post. And if he takes you out to the quote-unquote high post, as in three-point post, you're really in trouble. Anthony Davis attempted starting last year to turn himself into a three-point shooter, and he continues to struggle. He's around 31% right now, and he's only attempting 1.6 per game. So he started to say, I just can't do that. Then let's get to physical presence. I think even you would agree with me, the more dominating interior presence is DeMarcus, because he's just a bigger, stronger man than Anthony Davis is.
They're built different.
They are. DeMarcus is 20 pounds more, and he plays with more of an edge than Anthony does. It's an edge I like. It's an edge that has turned away and turned off a lot of referees, that has gotten DeMarcus into all kinds of trouble with the referee. But to me, in the long run, that edge he plays with can fuel his performance. There are some nights when he gets on an angry roll, like controlled rage roll, where he is virtually unstoppable as anybody I watch. And I've watched a lot of Kings games where I just sat back in awe of what DeMarcus Cousins was doing. When he can keep it between the lines and not channel his anger at the referees or his coach or a teammate, he can be as dominating a force as there is in the league. And that edge is missing in Anthony Davis's game. I don't see it from night to night, play to play, like I see it from this guy, who is going to now be extremely motivated to show the NBA what what a laughable package the Kings took for him. And I think he's going to take it personally like, oh, that's what the league thought of me. That's the best they could get because that was the best they were offered. I think he's going to play with a new controlled rage or anger at the league as opposed to at his coach. I think he'll be really good under Alvin Gentry, and I think he and Anthony will get along. And over time, you'll start to say, wait a second, this guy is a little better than that guy. Not to dismiss the other guy because he's really, really good. This guy has a chance to be great.
Skip, I went with Anthony Davis, and it is really close. If you look at their stats this year, you look at their career stats, they're almost similar. Basically 21-11 to 22-10. That's where they are. So they're very, very close. I took Anthony Davis for a variety of reasons. Yes, he can shoot the three, but he's not obsessed. See, you look at it as saying, well, he's only attempting 1.5 per game. He's like, well, I just can't make it. He's realizing, like, well, if I'm not as proficient as I need to be, why not put the ball on the ground and get to the hole? Because he was such a late bloomer growing into his body, he played guard basically up until his senior year. So he has great ball handling skill for a guy that's 6'10". So he can be out at the three-point line, put the ball on the ground, and get to the hole. He can play with his back against the basket. Yes, because that's what he mainly did at Kentucky. He has a great mid-range game, but where it flipped the scale for me in his favor is on the defensive side, because he's averaging 2.4 blocks a game. Boogie is 1.2 a game. So that's one more block per game. And you know what today is, Skip? It was 1 year ago today that he had a 59-20 ball game. And that was the best in the last 30 years. So Shaq had a 61-23, Chris Webber. I don't think people realize how good a ball player Chris Webber was until his knees betrayed him. He had a 51-26 ball game. So Anthony Davis having a 59-20 ball game is really, really special. But Skip, and I hate to bring this when evaluating players, but you can't ignore it. Night in and night out, I know what Anthony Davis is going to give me. He's going to give me 21.5, 22 points, probably 10, 11 rebounds. Now, Boogie can give me that, but is he going to give me that by the third quarter and be ejected? Or is he going to play the whole game? Because this is what we know. Boogie Cousins, since he's entered the NBA, 105 technical fouls. Anthony Davis has 12. Boogie Cousins have been ejected 12 times. Anthony Davis, 0. That's value, Skip. I need to know what I'm going to get night in and night out. He might get mad at the referee. He might throw the ball up in the stands. He might kick a chair. He might do something that will because his teams were already challenged in Sacramento, so he might do something to further put his team in harm's way. We talk about how many coaches that he's played for. He bears some culpability in that, Skip. He's been cancerous. If you think about it, everybody can't be lying. Everybody says he's a bad guy. Now, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Being in a new place, let's start from scratch. But Skip, you can't have 7 different head coaches. You can't, the play-by-play guy writing on Twitter how happy he is for him to be gone. You hear
Grant Napier's ripped him on his radio show constantly, and Marcus took issue with it.
Right, and you've seen players, how bad he is. So he bears some responsibility in having those 7 coaches. He bears that. He can't control his emotions at times. They get the best of him. He has 17 texts already, Skip. And I thought it was like baseball, when you go change leagues, your stats start all back over again. Nah, not the NBA. So he's carrying those 17 technical fouls with him to New Orleans. Skip, I need to know. And I know night in and night out, Anthony Davis is going to give me maximum effort, and he's going to be a professional about it. So now it's close, Skip. It's really close. As a matter of fact, they're so close, Boogie Cousins, if they're any closer, Boogie would be in front. But because of his behavior and because of what I get defensively, I'm taking AD.